She was meant to embody childhood innocence, not terror. Disclaimer. Any movie clips I use here are from Warner Bros. Pictures and are being used under fair use for educational and informative commentary. Imagine a doll, not just any doll, but one so notorious that even a brief cameo in a movie can make your skin crawl. For millions of horror fans, let's say that this doll is evil incarnate, pale, lifeless, yet somehow full of menace. This is Annabelle. But here's the twist. The Annabelle we know from Hollywood, the porcelain nightmare of the Conjuring universe, is far from the doll that sparked the legend. The real Annabelle is quieter, softer, and much less sinister. Yet her story became one of the most famous tales of American horror. So why did a simple Raggedy Ann transform into a global icon of terror? To understand, we need to go back to the source, the Warrens' tale, and the events that turned an ordinary doll into a legend. To understand how Annabelle became a horror icon, we can look at The Conjuring, 2013, with James Wan directing. A modest $20 million movie. It was low budget, but high tension, and it exploded at the box office, earning roughly $319 million worldwide. Suddenly, Warner Bros. Had a gold mine, a horror universe ready to expand. But here's the conflict. The first spin-off needed a hook. Annabelle appeared for barely 2 minutes in The Conjuring, yet audiences were fascinated. So Warner Bros. Greenlit a standalone film, Annabelle, on a $6.5 million budget. James Wan stayed on as producer, passing directing duties to John R. Leonetti, his cinematographer. The problem? Hollywood tried to take liberties. The real Annabelle was not a porcelain-faced nightmare, but a simple Raggedy Ann doll. So the filmmakers built a more terrifying version to match the audience's expectations, turning a cameo into a full-length story and launching the myth further into the public imagination. The movie begins in 1968 with 2 nurses in California and a supposed haunted doll. It moves on its own, delivers messages from a spirit named Annabelle Higgins, and terror escalates until the Warrens intervene. But here's the catch. That prologue is fiction. There is no Annabelle Higgins, no California apartment, and the timeline is off. The main plot follows John and Mia Form in Santa Monica, 1967, a nod to 1960s horror, their names referencing Rosemary's Baby. Hollywood added a cult subplot loosely inspired by the Manson family, compressing events and heightening stakes. A vintage porcelain doll becomes a conduit for evil, moving from house to house, threatening Mia and her newborn, Leia. So while the film builds suspense and uses slow burn tension, motherly fear, and callbacks to the wider universe, nearly everything is invention. The real Annabelle never left Connecticut, never met a cult, and certainly never terrorized a mother and child in California. The real twist is that the doll at the heart of the legend also looks nothing like its Hollywood counterpart. The real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann, a clot doll with red yarn hair and a stitched smile. Created in 1915 by Johnny Gruelle, she was meant to embody childhood innocence, not terror. By the 1970s, Raggedy Ann dolls were everywhere. Storybooks, Christmas stockings, homes across America. But everything changed when an ordinary doll entered the life of nursing student Donna. Strange events began unfolding, so small at first, they seemed almost harmless. Yet they escalated. The doll moved on its own. Notes appeared, scrawled in childlike handwriting, "Help us." So what started as curiosity quickly became something more sinister, setting the stage for the legend we now recognize as Annabelle. Donna and her roommate Angie reached out to a medium, hoping for guidance. The medium claimed the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins was inhabiting the doll. Sympathetic, they allowed the spirit to remain. But then things escalated. Scratches appeared on walls, furniture moved on its own, and another roommate, named Lou, awoke with claw-like marks on his chest. What began as a curious occurrence had turned into something frighteningly tangible. Enter Ed and Lorraine Warren. They concluded that this was no harmless ghost. It was a demonic entity pretending to be a child, using the doll as a conduit to influence humans. So they took Annabelle to their occult museum in Monroe, Connecticut, blessing her and sealing her in a glass case. According to the Warrens, the doll only continued to cause strange incidents, from car accidents to unexplained attacks. Yet no independent verification exists. Police reports, hospital records, outside witnesses, none have been documented. The conflict between legend and proof remains unresolved and unsolved, leaving fear in the stories we tell rather than in concrete evidence. The real fascination with Annabelle doesn't lie in the terror she caused, but in how the story grew. A simple doll, a handful of unexplained events. Then the Warrens amplified, dramatized, and branded her tale. Hollywood saw the potential and pushed it further, transforming Raggedy Ann into a porcelain-faced horror, adding murderers, cults, and blood-soaked tension. And yet, the truth remained simple. Annabelle Higgins never existed. The medium invented the name, the Warrens shaped a story of possession, and Hollywood carried the legend across state lines, turning a Connecticut mystery into a California horror saga. After Lorraine's death in 2019, the Warrens Occult Museum closed. Annabelle now resides in a secret location, preserved for what they called paranormal safety. She is quiet, soft, a far cry from the global icon of horror and terror. Yet her influence endures, not through actions, but through story. The fear she inspires exists in the films, in the legends told by the Warrens, and in the public imagination. The doll itself may be inert, but the myth remains alive. The 2014 Annabelle film, despite critical panning, earned roughly $257 million worldwide. This demonstrates that a compelling story, slow burn tension, an iconic object, and just enough horror can captivate audiences even when critics dismiss it. The doll became the face of the Conjuring universe, eclipsing any single investigator or demon. Sequels and spin-offs cemented her cultural footprint, yet the subtler horror remains. A simple Raggedy Ann, ordinary in fear, transformed into a legend. A symbol of fear, manipulation, and myth-making, proving that stories can terrify more than any tangible entity ever could. Annabelle reminds us how myths are made. Ordinary events become extraordinary through storytelling. Belief amplifies fear, and the line between fact and fiction blurs until it's impossible to know where reality ends and the legend begins. Sure, the doll may not move, it may not be demonic, and it may not even frighten on its own. Yet the story we tell, that is what lingers. That is what creeps into imaginations long after the screen goes dark. And in the end, maybe we'll see, it isn't the doll itself that terrifies, but rather the story we choose to believe and the legend we allow to take hold.